Today, we are checking out a new weapon mod that is years in the making. It's true, this weapon has been being worked on over the past few years, and I've been watching its development very closely. The brand new Smith & Wesson R8 revolver made by Gree, or Bry, still haven't really gotten a definitive answer on that, has finally come out. This is a project that has been going on for quite some time, along with some other Gree projects that have been going on as well. This is a really fancy revolver that has taken a very long time to dev because it's been a one-man project that is very intense. When you see a weapon of this quality, typically it's going to be something you found on Sketchfab or maybe something that's ported from a AAA title, but no, this was actually handmade over the course of a very long time. Every model, every texture, every single piece of this mod is handmade, which is honestly absolutely amazing. And it's really cool because that means we get not only the really neat and accurate R8 revolver, but also some attachments that are completely fictional and fit really well in Fallout. Now, to be clear, this is going to have a little bit more of a modern tactical aesthetic, but it has some other elements that are very cool and unique and sci-fi that I think fit perfect in the Fallout universe. So it's kind of a hybrid mod in that way. It's going to have some tactical optics, but everything else feels pretty right at home for Fallout. Now, a bit about how this weapon's going to function in-game. It is a feature-complete mod with a ton of custom models and textures that I've already talked a bit about, some custom animations. It's going to have a bunch of weapon attachments at the weapons workbench that make this thing feel cool and unique and have a bit more options for you. And also, there is a unique that you can find, which is always fun as well. And on top of all of that, it does have level list integration, which makes this a perfect mod in my eyes. We've already talked a bit about the models and textures, but to touch on them once more, these are AAA quality models and textures. It's honestly amazing that Gree has been swept up by a game dev studio already. This stuff looks amazing. It's a wonderful portfolio piece. This thing looks incredible. So if you want a good looking revolver for your game, this is definitely one I'd recommend. Like I said already, there's a bunch of weapon attachments over at the weapons workbench that are going to change the way this weapon functions. A little bit about how the weapon functions innately though. This is going to be based on the real life R8 revolver, which if you didn't know, is a 357 Magnum revolver with 8 rounds in the cylinder, which is pretty interesting for a revolver. Typically we see 6. Now what that means in game, since it is a 357 IRL, this comes in a vanilla version, which is going to use 44 with a 38 special rechamber. And there's also a version you can download that does have options for different ammo mods if you'd like to use 357. I believe it has built-in support for munitions and caliber complex depending on what you like. I believe there's also a version that will switch it to only 38 if you don't like the 44 option for this revolver, if you'd like it to have a sort of different place in your sandbox. It's completely up to you, highly customizable. Like I said earlier, this thing does have custom animations. That is the one piece of this that is not handmade by Gree. While Gree does know how to animate, this is going to use the F4 and V revolver animations as they fit perfectly on this weapon. And honestly, Gree spent so much time on the models and textures, I'm sure they wanted to be done with this as soon as possible. Like I said earlier, this thing does have a level list integration. If you'd like to find the weapon, it can be found on Gunners, anywhere that a vanilla 44 pistol might be found. You can purchase it from vendors, you can occasionally get it as a quest reward, and you might find it on legendary drops as well, all of which will start happening at level 25. But there is more. There is also a different variant of the weapon, a very special Gauss variant that can start being found after level 35 on all the same spawns. I believe that covers all of the basics, but of course we're going to hop in game and check out its finer details, like its stats, animations, and that really cool unique that I think you guys are going to like a whole lot. So here we are in game with a very standard variant of the R8 revolver, a snub nose in fact. This thing's going to have a base damage of around 38. It's going to use 44 again, but that is something that can be changed with different optional files if you'd like, or it can even be converted here at the weapons workbench in this variant. It is a fire rate of 24, a range of 125, an accuracy of 63, a weight of 3.5 pounds, and a value of 262 caps. One note that's not mentioned here is that it is double action, so you don't have to cock the hammer every single time you fire. A really nice revolver, and it looks incredible. To be honest, in-game makes it hard to see all of the wonderful details of this just because that's how Fallout rendering is, but you check this thing out on the mod page and check out some of the renders Gree has made for this weapon, you'll see the true amount of detail and quality in this weapon. It really is fantastic. One other thing I did forget to mention in the preamble for this video is that there is actually another optional file that will add a bunch of skins to this weapon, so it is separate depending on whether or not you want a pretty standard weapon or you want some extra skins. Additionally, Both the base model and the skins are available in 2K and 4K options, so that's a pretty cool thing. If you're trying to save space or you want the highest detail possible, it's completely up to you. Now then, we're going to change things up and check out the unique first so that you don't get spoiled when we get to the animations. The unique in this mod is known as the Dismantler. Bullets will explode on impact, dealing a 15 area of effect damage, and as you can see, it has a Gauss barrel, which looks really, really cool. Compact Gauss weapons is a bit of a sci-fi thing for sure, but it looks really, really nice. This is a completely custom model and texture, a completely unique idea from Gree, and it looks super cool. And you can't really see it here in the preview menu, but there's a unique texture on this weapon as well. Now, if you want to get your hands on this beautiful weapon, you're going to need to head over to the edge of the glowing sea where it is tucked away, because it is a pretty dang powerful weapon. Even though it's explosive and has the Gauss sort of effect, it's still going to be using 44s and spitting out a pretty intense amount of damage, so in terms of ammo balancing, that's pretty crazy, but a really good late-game pistol, which we don't really have one of in the base game. So let's check out the custom animations. I know that I did mention that it's going to be using the F4NV 44 revolver animations, but that's not all. There actually are some custom animations included that Gree has added on top of all of that, so that's something to note. Let's start off with the base set of animations, though, here on the regular revolver, and see how they look. Honestly, just fantastic. Everything lines up perfectly, and the iron sights are really nice even with that Picatinny rail. You can hit targets pretty dang well at any range. Really, really nice, and you can really see the quality of this model and texture in first person here. Honestly, it looks fantastic. But for the custom stuff, let's talk about this here Gauss revolver. As you can see, there's some weird black notches on the back of the frame here, and that's because if we charge up this weapon, it's actually animated and the gun will vibrate and then release. And that's a really cool effect. Something that was completely unnecessary. Gauss weapons are pretty funky and hard to get that charge working. It's a lot of animation work, and Gree has made it look perfect here, and with a cool visual effect on the frame as well. Now, while you can charge, much like the vanilla Gauss rifle, you can also kind of spam it for less damage. In my opinion, though, charging it up is definitely the way to go. Somehow, Gree has also figured out how to make iron sights work while charging, which to most people might not be something to really acknowledge, but in most Gauss weapons where you charge and you want to mod those in, or even in the vanilla one, it really messes the iron sights up, but since these are custom animations, they stay right on target, which is really, really nice. Now then, of course, it is time to talk about the attachments over at the weapons workbench, which there are a lot of, so let's go ahead and jump into it. These are pretty fun. For receivers, we have standard up through advanced, like a normal revolver, and then we also have a burst receiver, which is kind of crazy for a revolver. All this does is makes it so that whenever you click, you shoot 2 shots instead of 1. They are kind of staggered, they're not really fast, it's just kind of like you're pulling the trigger twice, but it definitely is an interesting option to add. Probably just Gree trying to play around with some fun effects. For barrels, we have the standard short barrel, the Medusa barrel, the Taurus barrel, which does seem to have some funky textures in my game, but I don't know if that's par for the course. This is probably something that's just going on with me, and possibly the skin that I have equipped. We also have a heavy barrel, which is a nice chunky barrel, and a suppressed barrel, a completely custom and unique option from Gree that looks pretty interesting, pretty cool. For grips, we have the standard grip, the improved grip, the redwood grip, the standard wood grip, which has a really nice pattern to it. I quite like that a lot. And a carbon fiber grip as well. Some really, really cool texture work on all of these. Doesn't show up great here in the preview menus, but trust me, they look fantastic. We have an option for ammo where we can choose 38 special for a damage decrease, the standard 357, which is represented here in 44. But again, if you want to use this as intended, you will use munitions or caliber complex to use the correct ammo type. And we also have some other chambers like Rat Shot, SWC, Hollow Point, and the Spire rounds, which I'm not familiar with, but apparently they are armor piercing. Rat Shot, though, is definitely going to be a really fun one, and all of these are custom modeled. As you can see, they're actually changing here in the cylinder, which is pretty fun. For scopes, we have the standard iron sights, a glow sight, a Barska sight, a deer dot, a Hollow Sun, a Micro T1, an OKP7, a Vortex, an ELFX, a C5L, an A940, and a medium scope. This is the only part of the mod that is a little bit too tactical for me, but that is totally up to Greed to do whatever they want with their mod. Altogether, still a pretty cool set of attachments. For muzzles, we have the option for no muzzle, a DTK2 muzzle, DTK1, Raptor, Cookie, Hue, and Erector. Hue and Erector are both going to be suppressors. And the Erector set is a pretty interesting one here. Honestly, not the first thing I think of when I see a revolver, but it does look pretty cool. For the bottom rail, we have the option for a C5L combo laser, a Klesh 2P combo, an M600U flashlight, and a TLR1 flashlight. So lots of options there depending on what you like. And then we do have the option for skins. To show off the skin pack that you can download, we have Blackout, which is solid black, the Damascus, which looks pretty crazy, the default skin, and the worn skin, which makes it look a little bit more rough around the edges, perfect for Fallout. So yeah, guys, that is the R8 revolver and all of its nice little goodies. Definitely a worthwhile download, and especially with that Gauss unique and the Gauss variants that you can find all over. That is a very, very fun and unique take on a revolver that I think is very much worth everything else in this mod. So if you want to try this one out for yourself, it will be linked down in the description below. This project has been a long time in the making, so go show it some love. Gree would really appreciate that. Now, if you enjoyed this video, consider dropping it a like. It really helps out the channel and lets me know what kind of videos you guys like to see. Additionally, while you're down there, if you'd like to support my work directly, you can do so over on Patreon. It is completely optional, of course, but if you like the videos I make here on YouTube or the mods I make on the Nexus, it's a great way to support me directly. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!